Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Groove and Theory. This next piece just develops more on the concepts of moving between chords. There are a lot more chords in this piece, which gives the opportunity to move around the bass a bit more. Unlike the first piece, the approach here is far from being diatonic, which means that we'll be using chords and notes which aren't in the original key, which in this case is in B minor. Because the piece is already not confined to one key, you can be a bit more adventurous with how you move between chords. This piece is also in a different time signature, which in this case is 6/8. Because this piece is nice and slow, it feels really relaxed and soulful, and 6/8 allows us to play steady and on the beat, but sounds super groovy at the same time. Remember that you can play your own parts over this piece. I've been pretty creative with the chord progression, which makes it really easy to sound funky against the backing track. I'd recommend listening to Aretha Franklin's Respect, which has a super bouncy bass line that uses chromatics to full effect. This time I'm using my precision bass with flat 1 strings, set completely flat on the amp. So now I'm going to analyse in more detail what I've been playing here. The way I use passing notes here has been way more chromatic compared to the last example, which used more scalic ideas. I use notes within the scale when moving between chords that are also in the scale, such as bar 5 and 6 and 14 and 15. Specifically at bar 14 I use an arpeggio, which is the 1, 3 and 5 of the chord to move to the next chord. Using arpeggios to move between chords sounds great because you're playing a short melody that shows off the harmony of that chord. Arpeggios can also be used to fill in space while demonstrating the harmony of the chord. This can be found at bar 28. The last note in the arpeggio is a B, which leads perfectly going into the E of the next bar. Going back to using chromatic notes, the bass line can either ascend up to the next chord, for example like in bar 9, or come down to the chord like in bar 33. Varying between these movement styles keeps the bass line much more interesting. To make the passing notes more interesting, I use grace notes in this piece. Grace notes are a great way to embellish the bass line, and I use them to accent the sense of movement in the piece. You can find these at bar 10 and 17. I hope that this piece has given you new interesting ways to move between chords, even when the chord progression becomes more advanced than you'd normally see. Thanks for watching this episode of Groove and Theory. Check out the last video where we get even more advanced. Please like this video if you want more lessons and courses like this one.